This conference
few
will now be
specific
recorded.
clients who are into fashion and retail both. Very,
Okay.
very few. Okay,
So
mostly
okay.
you will.
Uh-huh.
Hmm,
Can you come
mostly
again,
you
Rajesh?
will find.
Actually, it got in between. It got yeah.
Okay, so retail and fashion are two different industries.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
so if you talk about purely retail and if you talk about purely fashion, then these are two completely different industries. There is no commonality between these. No common topics between these.
Okay.
Now, there are few industries who are using, I mean, their business is using fashion and then they have retail outlets as well. So, there is no topic as such RFM. Retail and fashion are completely different. Now, there
Uh-huh.
are few clients, as I said, who use retail and fashion both. So, for them, it is necessary to have retail and fashion both in use. Now, in S4, every industry is by default on in the S4 environment. Only few industry specific add-ons you might need to activate in SFW5. Rest of it will be pre-activated for each and every industry. Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So retail and fashion, if I can give you an idea in the system. Okay, let me log into the system. I do have a presentation where it outlines the different elements of retail and fashion. So these are the key processes basically that we're going to learn in
Okay.
retail. So it comprises of master data, assortments, pricing, promotions, allocation management, then replenishment, POS, outbound, inbound, Fury. Uh, I mean, there are certain functionalities which are possible by via Fury apps, but these are not mandatory. Fury app is not mandatory. If you want, you can use them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in retail master data, what we will be covering is, and before I go further into the details of this, I believe you have got the course content from Naveen. Retail and
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
okay, so that course content has got the details of it. It has the topics relevant for retail and fashion in it. Now, this is a generic slide. Okay,
Oh, okay. Okay. It has
so
more details, right? That course content.
course content has more details. Yes, of course, it has got more details. So
Okay. Okay.
here you will find the master data, which will comprise of the retail product master and the retail plant master. Now, this plant and product, these are common between retail and fashion. This is the only common topic between retail and fashion. Okay.
Product means
So for
article master, you're saying, right? Article master is
yeah,
common.
exactly material. Yeah, exactly
Material
material.
article master is common. Okay.
Yeah. So let's say a client is using only fashion, then also he has to use MM41. A client who is using only retail, then also he has to use MM41. So
Okay.
this
Okay.
this material and plant concept is shared between retail and fashion. Apart from it, there is no other convergence.
Okay.
Okay. Now these are the topics included in the master data. Now there are few entities which are relevant for mainly for retail, not so for fashion, but since both are sharing the same structure, it becomes kind of a compliance for the fashion to use this. For example, material category or material group or merchandise category. This concept is something. Now, let me give you some idea about.
So basically, material master and article master is the same kind of screens and like same set of data, or it's like
Yeah,
different.
basically in S4, we do not call it as article anymore. Article is the older terminology used in ECC. Now, come from the
Okay.
ECC background because I have been using SAP retail for a long time. So I have the habit of saying it as article master. But now, if we go to the T code MM41, it will say material. Now, this is
Oh,
a bit confusing because if you go to the manufacturing material, which is MM01, it also says material. So it is a
correct.
bit confusing. So we call it as retail material. So that's how we try to distinguish it. Now,
Mhm.
whatever you see here, like material group, material category, these are not important for fashion at all. But if a client is using fashion, then he has to mandatorily use MM41 and then he has to use something dummy value for material category and material, at least for material group. For material category, fashion can use either of these two, but material group It's not that much required in fashion, but absolutely mandatory in retail, mostly from reporting point of view. Why? Because in retail, you will very easily find more than 40 to 50,000 live products on an
Mm-mm.
average.
Mm-mm.
Now, for the reporting point of view, it becomes very difficult and inconvenient for the business to do the reporting based on so many products. Okay, so what they do is they will have some common classification called material group, which is created under WG21, and all the products having the common attribute will be grouped under this material group. For example, your hair care products, all your hair care products, meaning hair cream, hair shampoo, hair conditioner, everything will be grouped under one common entity called hair care. I think I have already something called hair care, something like that. For retail, we use material type HAWA,
Okay.
and for the standard, and for fashion, mainly we use MODE mainly.
MODE.
These are
Okay.
MODE and HAW. These are the two material types which we use. Then there is something called material category. Now,
Mhm.
material category is again a subdivision of the product. So, retail 90% will use single material. Any stock keeping unit, any single product that you see in the store shelf is a single material. Example, your any bottle of cold drinks, soft drinks, Coke, Pepsi, whatever you see is a single material.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Then comes the generic material. Generic material is very, very important to fashion. I will create one single material just now. Generic
Yeah.
material is absolutely important for fashion. So,
Okay. Uh,
why? Yeah, tell me.
yeah, Rajesh. One thing, before going to this, I just wanted to know at least one like business point of view, like what is the difference between the retail and the fashion? Because this, I know, like okay, retail is retail shops and something. Fashion means like we
Hmm.
have shops, right? Like clothing. Maybe I don't know
Yeah,
whether it is correct my understanding, but I just wanted to know we are frequently saying retail and fashion, right? What actually the difference between the retail and fashion, like business point of view?
yeah. Business point of view, the
Retail.
retail process is quite different and very, very different from fashion business process. So, in retail, we have the store sales, the store setup, the store sales, store supply chain management,
Uh-huh.
the pricing at the store, the sale that is happening for retail. It is happening from the point of sale terminal at the store. Okay,
Okay, from the
so
stores, right?
you will
Whatever we do, the business from the stores, we can say retail. Huh?
exactly, yeah,
Okay.
exactly, and then there would be a DC, there will be a distribution center, which will be the receiving and dispatching unit. So there will
Mm-hmm.
be a DC where basically the receiving from the vendor will happen and then dispatching to the store will happen. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the sale, the key important KPI for any industry is sale.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now I will try to answer your question with the help of this business process, which is sale. So in
Mm-hmm.
retail, all the sales that are happening at the store, how do you capture it in the system? So if you imagine yourself as a customer going to a store, what do? You stand in a queue, pick up some items, and then there is a billing system where you scan your products will be scanned, and then you will be paying some by cash or any other payment method, and then the transaction will be captured at the point of sale terminal or the billing system. Let's say in a simple
Correct.
word, the billing system, right?
Mm. Yeah.
Now that data comes into the S4 retail system, S4 HANA system. Let's say S4 HANA only, S4 HANA system with the IDOC format. So there are different IDOCs, aggregated sales IDOCs, receipt-based sales IDOCs. So from those IDOCs, there is direct billing document which gets created, and individual customer details are not captured for
Mm-hmm.
the sales that is coming from the point of sale terminal, because walking customers there will be
Walking us.
thousands of them per day. Okay,
Correct. Correct.
so those customer details will not be captured at all. So all the
Mm.
sales will be posted on behalf of the particular store where the sales has happened.
Okay.
Okay,
Mm. Okay.
and
Mm.
when we talk about the fashion business, so fashion business, let's understand how the sale happens. So it is a traditional wholesale process. So the customer order will be captured in sales order. A full-fledged customer master will be created. and then sales order will be created, and it will be followed by the logistics execution process, which is the outbound delivery, post goods issue, and then billing.
Mhm. Okay, but like fashion means like Reliance apparels, right? Like we have Reliance store, right? That is
No, no, no.
specific to fashion.
See,
Those things,
so
fashion
that
means
no, 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 no. Fashion is something which is manufacturing the product, manufacturing and doing the wholesale of the product. So let's
wholesale.
say there
Oh,
is
okay,
wholesale. So let's say
okay.
there is a company called Arvind Mills in India. Okay.
Correct. Yeah, yeah.
So Arvind Mills will be procuring the raw materials. They will be uh, uh, doing the production planning, and then they will be doing the wholesale of those products to sales order to
Correct.
multiple customers. And those
Mm,
customers will be your Reliance, or earlier there was Big Bazaar,
correct.
or the Pantaloons. Name many
Mm.
big I mean retail brands. They will be the customer for Arvind.
Okay,
Okay, so
okay,
for those
okay.
wholesale will be created. So they will procure it, and for the Reliance Fashion Mart or whatever, Reliance Trends or whatever, the Arvind Mills will be a vendor, supplier. It is a it is
Mm-hmm.
a totally different relationship when you see it from a fashion point of view, or when you see it from a retail point of view. So
Okay. Mm-hmm.
the fashion business is manufacturing it, and then they are creating the wholesale orders to the retailer. The retailers are procuring it from the fashion manufacturer, and to them uh, it is the vendor. Okay.
Okay, okay. Got
Okay,
it.
and there are certain clients who does manufacturing and retail sell both. For example, Adidas, Puma.
Uh,
So
uh,
they have
uh,
wholesale to other customers, plus they have
mm.
their own sales unit,
Stores.
meaning
Uh,
stores.
uh, uh.
Okay, so this is where people, merge these two topics, retail and fashion, but it cannot be merged. Both are completely two different business units, two different industries. Now, one client can have both, and for those kind of setups, it is retail and fashion both. But
Okay.
majority it will be two separate business units individually running in the S4 system.
Okay. So basically, fashion. I got the concept,
Mm.
Rajesh, actually. But in the fashion, right? What products like only this fashion means clothes, shoes.
Yeah,
Okay. Whatever
t-shirts,
specific.
clothes,
All
food,
those things
yeah,
only, right?
footwear, apparel,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah,
Okay. Only apparel specific or this kind of thing, not other items. Any
no,
other
no
item.
FMG, no other
No
item,
FMCG. Okay. Okay. Got it.
no
Got
FMCG.
it. Okay. Then fine.
Okay,
Okay. Then fine. Yeah.
okay.
Got it.
So retailers will never manufacture of their own. So they will buy products from different manufacturers. One of them being the fashion manufacturer. They will have certain other FMCG manufacturers also in India. Very common examples are Procter and Gamble, Hindustan Unilever. So those are the manufacturers of the FMCG goods. Retailers will procure those, and they will get it from Vishal, sorry, Arvind, and then they will sell it at their own retail outlet.
Okay. Got it. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the process,
Okay. Yeah.
and in a high level overview kind of thing.
Yeah. Got it. Okay.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Yes, Rajesh. Yeah.
Now,
Got it.
fine. Now, generic materials are mainly for fashion, like your t-shirts, shirts. And why? What is so specific about generic? Generics are specific because generics are a combination of multiple attributes, and those attributes are very much specific to the fashion industry. The most common examples of attributes in fashion industry are color and size.
Mm.
So let's say there are four colors and four sizes of a particular product. So how many combinations would be possible? 4 into 4, 16.
16.
So with the help of generic articles, what you can achieve is you can create a dummy article in the foreground, and all the 16 articles will be created in the background automatically. Okay.
Mm. Okay. Okay. Okay.
This is how you can use the generic article. Then there are Other categories like cell set, prepack, display. Cell set and display are exclusively for the retail industry. Prepacks are mostly for fashion. However, in retail also you will see some existence of prepack. So these are basically structured articles, meaning it's something which is like a pack, a box containing two or more single articles. That's
Oh,
that's the definition of the structured articles, meaning one one box containing one particular brand of shampoo and conditioner. That's prepack. That's a structured article. So something like that. So there are differences between the structured articles. So cell set is different from prepack. Prepack is different from display. But there is one commonality between these three, which is all these three are packed items. There would be a box which will contain multiple items.
okay. In between like 10, 11, 12, you're saying, right?
In bit,
10,
sorry, come again,
10,
please.
11, 10, 10, 11, 12, right? All these three means
10, 11,
like,
12.
okay.
Yeah, all these three.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. 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 Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine. Now, let us create a single article quickly.
Yeah. So article is nothing but an individual material.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Individual product. Exactly.
Product.
Fine. Now, there are different views. Now, all of these views are not relevant for both the industries. Like for fashion, we need basic data one, two, and then we need logistics DC. Sales is also required, but others are optional. For retail, we need basic data one, listing, purchasing,
Purchasing.
sales, DC store POS. So this particular screen structure is mainly suited for retail. Now fashion ideally doesn't need all these. So basically fashion has to somehow comply, even though they do not need all these. But SAP doesn't have a separate screen structure for retail and fashion, which
Oh,
uh, could be a bit of a inconvenience, but not a major one, I would say.
okay. Okay. So basically, but it's based on material type we are getting this highlighted views or
No, 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 no. That I
it's
have
a,
made as a default. This
oh,
is
okay.
by default the standard view that you get in S4. S4. I mean,
Okay.
there is a config. I mean, that's a not a
Uh,
retail or
the
fashion specific config. That's a standard config basically for
material
any
type, right?
industry. Material type based. I believe you are aware about it, but let me show you again. So it would be under logistics general, then uh, material master, then configuring the material master, then uh, sorry. Yeah, uh, mm. So material type based. So we use 24. 24 is something which is being used right now in S4HANA 2023. Okay.
Okay. So, so for fashion, I thought actually the production views also will be there because you said like we'll be producing also, right?
Production, I mean, there are some specific views for production, but you would find it in logistics DC itself. So there are
Okay.
certain subscreens where, by the way, production planning is not included in the course content. If you have seen it, there is no production planning in it.
Okay. Okay. But, okay. But, okay, got it. Okay.
Okay. Now, now there are few important fields I will try to touch base upon.
Yeah.
EN code is absolutely mandatory here. EN code. Okay.
Yeah.
So we need to have a alphanumeric code. Sorry, numeric code, not uh, the number range is controlled to the CN category. Don't know what is the number range itself. This incorrect digit, or I can generate an internal one for the time being. So this is a barcode. on the product. So that barcode needs to be fixed on each and every product so that it can be scanned. And that is mandatory for retail operation, not for fashion.
Mhm.
Okay. Listing is again something which is absolutely required in retail, but not so much in fashion. So, what is the business purpose of listing? The business purpose of listing is to ensure that the right products are placed at the right stores. Example, let's say you have a very expensive item like iPhone 16. So out of 50 stores, you want to sell it, procure it, and sell it for only store A, B, 1, 2, and 3, not for the rest 47 stores. So how do you
Mhm.
control it in an S4? So the way of controlling it is listing. So the product where it is required to be sold and procured should be listed there and should not be listed in the rest 47 stores. So that is how you will be ensuring that the product can be sold and procured in those stores, 3 stores only. How? If you have not listed any product to a store, you cannot create a purchase order. And if you cannot create a purchase order, you cannot sell it.
Mm. Mm.
Okay.
Basically, it's required for retail.
So exactly. And fashion doesn't need this. Purchasing is your contractual agreement with the vendor. So basically, at what price you buy it from the vendor. That is what here you need to mention.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sales is all about your retail pricing. So what is retail pricing? Again, fashion doesn't need it. Retail pricing is a unique way of calculating your sales price based on your purchase price and a planned markup. So let's say your cost price is 100. We maintain the cost price from the vendor, and then you maintain a markup of 20%,
Uh-huh.
and then press enter. The moment you do it, your final price is calculated as 120. And if this checkbox is activated, the standard condition record for retail price, which is VKP0, will be automatically updated. Now, there is a better way of doing it. Now, no one is going to do it from the article master. Actually, listing also, no one is going to do it from article master, although there is a provision. There are different programs to do it. Now, this one, let me create this article first, and then let me show you one cycle of listing and retail pricing. First, let me show you listing.
Okay.
So this article has a org specific purchase info record, which I have maintained in the purchasing view. Okay. So if I go into ME1M, then I can see.
So already PR is created for this.
Yes, exactly. So in retail, if you maintain the purchasing info record, if you maintain the purchasing view, automatically it will update your purchase info record, meaning EIN and EIN tables will be updated.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So basically, I see a normal material master screen and this material master. In this material master, we have this purchase organization and all those things in the initial screen,
Yes. Yes.
like purchasing the specific
Mm,
transaction specific data, purchase
yes.
organization, right? Purchasing.
Mm,
So in normal material master, normally we don't assign, right? Create
yes.
material against
You
that
do not have
purchasing.
in MM01. You don't have
Yeah.
vendor. There is no provision to maintain the vendor. There
Vendor
is a
and all those.
purchasing view, but it doesn't create a purchasing record. Here it does.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay.
Now we have a purchasing for record, and then we do have a Marcy extension for the material and let's say store combination.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Now in manufacturing, this is sufficient to create a purchase order, purchase info record, and Marcy extension. However, in retail, you need additional criteria, which is listing. And if you do not have the product listed in a particular store, you will get listing error, like the way we will receive now.
Uh-huh. So listing is against the store, plant and store,
It has to,
storage location.
and not storage location, only store or DC. It equally works for DC. distribution center.
Okay.
See, material is not listed.
Okay.
So there are different ways of listing a product. One of them, or the most popular, is using this program. Use a store.
All these are master data only, Danesh? Like
Yeah,
this transaction.
this is extension of master data. Yes, because unless and until you list an article, the article is kind of useless.
Mm,
So now you can create the PO without any issue. Let's see. See, now it is fine.
so for listing, okay, for listing in a store or a one DC, we need to create a purchase order. Means purchase order means
No, 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 no. Purchase order can only be created after listing.
okay, okay, okay,
I was just
okay.
trying to show you what will happen if you do have not listed. It will simply block your purchase order. You cannot create a purchase order.
Okay. So it means in this scenario, what we are trying to say is like retail guy, retail store or whatever it is, trying to create a purchase order to buy a article
Yes,
from a fashion.
exactly.
Okay.
Fashion or FMCG, whatever.
Oh, yeah. Okay. This it is from retail point of view or explaining like
Mm, mm.
creating a purchase order. Okay. Okay.
Now, retail pricing, let me show you something here. So, yeah, see, the vendor is supplying at 100, and then we can maintain a markup. This is at the discretion of the retailer to decide what markup they will apply. So, the moment we apply a 40% markup, it will calculate the final price as at 140, and then once we save this, it will update VKP 0. That's the standard condition record for retail pricing. And this is the price which will eventually go to the point of sale system. That also we can see. See now, and if your article is not having any sales price, it cannot be sent down to the POS system. So there are different ways to communicate to the POS. One of them being this IDOC based POS outbound approach. So it will create a IDOC which has to be
Yeah.
consumed
This
by
is
the
for
middleware.
Rajesh, like what is this transaction? Like what we are doing here? We because we created a PO, right? After that, we created
No,
PO. Then
PO, no, PO I had created just to show the example of
okay,
listing.
okay,
So do not
okay.
consider PO. So let us assume that the stock is there, and then we have created the article. Listing is also done.
Uh-huh.
You can assume that PO has been created and GR has also been done at the
Oh,
store. Let
okay,
us assume
okay.
that.
Uh,
Now,
uh, uh, uh,
our price is maintained for the product, which I
uh,
just did through VKP5, and now
correct.
we are
Mm,
sending the product details to the store because the POS billing system at the
mhm.
store doesn't have the article information. So they need to
Uh,
know, right? So
okay.
for that purpose, we need to send these article relevant data. Otherwise, how will the POS system know? Because it is an independent third party system. It is not a
Oh,
SAP system POS. So
okay,
we need
okay.
to
So
send that article information through IDOC.
from SAP, from S4,
Exactly,
okay,
exactly.
like
Yeah.
we are saying, okay,
Mm. So
okay,
it will generate a IDOC, and the IDOC will have all the necessary data which the point of sale system needs. There is no real-time POS system, meaning the port and all is not configured properly. So that is why it is in error. But you can see the data content: store, date, EN code, article number, unit of measure, material group, the long description of the product, and the sales price with its validity period, sales price validity period, and the value. All will be sent down to the POS system.
okay.
Okay, so I mean, it's very big. I mean, to demo something, it's quite difficult. So if you have any
Correct.
questions, you can ask me. Otherwise, it is too short time in a demo session to give a holistic overview of two different
Uh,
industries.
Correct. Yeah, yeah. I have few questions actually, like doubts actually to say because I'm not
Yeah.
new to this retail and fashion. Just wanted to know how much knowledge we require on MM and SD part, like for this retail and fashion course.
I mean, the basics, like if you have the concept of purchase order, sales order,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I mean, billing document,
Mm-hmm.
that that would hold good. I mean, the basics.
Basic. Okay. Okay. Any any configuration which is required for retail and fashion from point of view of MM and SD, is it covered as part of this course? Like any
Yeah, all the relevant configuration are definitely covered. Yes,
like other integration areas, specific configuration which is required for retail and fashion.
yes, yes, definitely, it's there
Ah,
covered.
okay. Okay. And like this IDOC, all these things are part of this, right? IDOCs, that like inbound and outbound, those things
Mm-hmm.
are really covered as because we are getting these errors, right? But in our system, normally we will execute, right?
Mm.
Directly because
Yes,
currently we are getting errors, right? Right? Like, but in our
yeah,
system, right?
this,
Mm.
yeah, yeah, in a real-time system, you will have the real-time connectivity with the POS system. Then you will not get this error.
Yeah, so that will be there, like in our course thing. Okay,
I mean,
okay.
in this system, we cannot show the end-to-end. We do not have a real-time POS. We do not have all.
Okay, got it now, got it now. Okay, but at least
Mm,
until here we'll come.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, okay. And outside, like, how is the market for retail fashion? Like the
Yeah,
retail
see,
and management.
SAP,
Mhm.
yeah, SAP, any skill is quite good. I mean, SDMM, if I see the core modules are always in demand, then fashion, retail. I mean, name it. Any. I haven't seen any SAP skills to be going down as of now. Basis, every skill has got its own I mean, market, and it has never gone down. To be honest.
Yeah. Okay.
So that is why you see so many people are taking so many different courses according to their choice. So nothing is going down. Everything is in demand in SAP.
Okay. So the master data basically here for retail and fashion, right? It is like
Hmm.
article master and listing. Only these two, or
No, and then retail plant, which are stores and DC. That is also different and unique.
that is also separate master. So basically master data is this one only.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah. And I'm just checking the course and because let because I wanted to check one thing here. SAP, IS. So IS retail is different, right?
No, IS retail was a predecessor. In ECC era, we used to call IS retail. All the industry specific products used to be called as IS oil, IS banking. So right now in S4 we do not have that demarcation as IS because it is a product which is common to all industries. Every industry is by default activated in S4. So that
Okay,
IS nomenclature is gone.
okay, okay. And yeah, and one more thing, it's like as part of this, for example, this course, right? So this retail and fashion like covered as part of sequence or both at a time kind of thing, like like first you
I
do
mean,
retail and
at it, yeah. So it depends on your choice. So some people take retail first and then fashion. Some take fashion first and then retail. Although the percentage of candidates opting for retail first and then fashion is more.
okay, okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay, but the thing is that it will not go parallelly, right? First, we need to cover
No,
retail
no, no, no,
first.
no, no.
Uh,
Exactly, exactly. It cannot go
uh,
parallel. It is not
uh,
possible. You will
uh,
get more and more confused. Two different industries you cannot,
yeah,
I mean, take at the
because
same time, meaning in
yeah.
the in parallel. One has to be completed before the other
Mhm.
start.
So, okay, yes, business experience also, right? Like apart from the SAP, like because business means like retail and fashion. Because I am not aware of that thing. Because
See,
as part of the course.
basically,
Mhm.
business means no. I do not come from retail and fashion domain. So that domain, the specific things are used to happen 20 years back when
Oh,
there were very much scarcity of consultants in SAP. So domain level people were taken into SAP by IT vendors and then they were trained. So that era is gone. Now
Mm,
you can see people from I mean graduate engineering hires and everyone they are being exposed to certain industries, certain technical areas, and then they are gaining expertise on that area.
mhm. Okay. 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 And okay. Just I'm going to this one. Okay, logistics execution and all those things will be covered as part of this. Yes. And all those.
Yeah.
Okay. Mhm. Like this, how many days duration actually?
Uh, it will take uh, something between 25 plus something like that. I mean, on an average, 25 on an average, retail and fashion, both if you are opting for
Mhm, mhm.
retail and fashion. Sometimes it takes less even, and sometimes it takes more. I do not have a very specific, timeline for finishing off the course content. It's all about the course content. So the course content needs to be completed successfully. So
Okay.
it might take a bit less time, it might take a bit more time. That doesn't matter.
Okay. 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 So
Yeah.
yeah, just wanted to check on this pattern. Okay. Okay, Rash. Yeah, I will connect with the team.
Yeah. So think about it, and then you can let Naveen know on your decision. And
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and you can repeat that there are a lot of opportunities in this area. I mean, it's common for SAP. SAP as a product is very very stable and very very in demand. You are, I mean, aware of it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Actually, this is for your internal thing. I am wanting like voluntarily. I'm just trying to learn things. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
thought of learn. Yeah, so that it will be useful for the company also.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought of
career
doing
growth.
that. Yeah. So that is the reason I was exploring this. Where actually we can get. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, Rajesh. Yeah. Yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Okay, okay. Yeah, bye. So today we will be starting with the master data. So I'll be covering the retail fashion master data, meaning we have the product master which is common between retail and fashion, and then we'll be covering the plant concept in retail and fashion, which will be basically DCs and stores. Now, since you have a bit of a background of retail and fashion, or probably only fashion, you might correlate easily. But I will be discussing from the scratch. Now,
Yes, yes, you can explain everything. So I mean, even if I know, it's fine. So yeah, I mean, just you can explain as if I do not know all this. So.
yeah. So basically,
But
the
Rajesh,
master
your
data part.
voice is breaking a bit. It's not very clear, but I can
Yeah, hello.
understand you.
Yeah, is
Hello.
it better now or is it still breaking?
Better than before. Okay, let's start and we'll see.
Yeah. So let me know if it is having a lot of problems. So then I will change my mic. But if it is okay, we can continue.
Now sounds fine to me.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Now, before going into the details of the product master or the material master in retail and fashion, let me provide you some of the details of the process that we will adopt, or rather, I will adopt while discussing any master data relevant topic. So as you know that master data is something which is very important for entire uh, I mean entire functional processes, either retail or fashion, meaning it has far-fetched impact in a lot of downstream processes. It has got impact in the process, it has impact in the SD process and so on. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, while discussing the master data, I will keep myself only to the theoretical part of it because uh, if I try to deviate into too many topics, it takes master data itself to complete around 2 to 3 weeks or even more. So while covering the master data, I will be mainly focusing theoretically, and then I will be revisiting the master data number of times as and when I progress along the course content and the particular topics has a relevance with respect to master data. For example, uh, retail pricing or allocation or replenishment. These are the dependency on the logistic store view, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, I will have to revisit the article master multiple number of times with connection to these three topics. And not only these three topics, these are just cited as an example. There are other topics as well which has a dependency and relevance with master data. Okay. So
Okay.
like fashion management, like segmentation. So these are topics in fashion which has dependency with master data. So I will have to come back to master data, both plant master and article master multiple number of times. Okay. Now, for
Okay.
now, to begin with the master data topic, I will keep it theoretical. So I will tell you where the impact points are in
Mm-hmm.
a overview manner, and then of course I will come to the details of it at a later point of time. As I said, during the different topics listed in the course content, like allocation table, season management, like retail pricing, like replenishment, and so on.
So you will cover this DC1, DC2, how this is structured at some point because that
Yeah,
is,
I will.
yeah.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, fine. Now, let me start. Let me share my screen and log into the system as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know if you can see my screen.
No, not yet.
See, right?
Yes, I can see now.
So we'll start with the RFM retail fashion material
Mm.
transaction code MM42. Now, logistics DC1, DC2, it can be avoided in S4HANA 2023 because we have a screen structure which kind of compresses both. So the logistics DC that you see here, logistics distribution center, this has got all the fields relevant for retail and fashion. So earlier, till 2022, we had this logistics DC1, DC2. In fact, here also we have the screen sequence which allows logistics DC1, DC2, but that is no longer needed because with logistics distribution center itself, uh, we have got all the required views for retail and fashion. Okay. So
Okay.
earlier logistics DC1 and DC2 was unavoidable, but not now. Because in logistics DC1, we had the retail specific or, I mean, the general requirement planning specific data, and logistics DC2 used to be exclusively for fashion. So earlier, the allocation run and the segmentation 11 fields used to exist only in logistics DC2. But now it is a unified concept. Everything is available in logistics center. All your requirement planning, all your uh, allocation run, all your segmentation, everything is available under this compressed view.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So you can use this screen sequence, which is currently in place. I hope you know the screen sequence, right? That concept.
Yeah.
So that screen sequence currently that is in use with all the four parameters: industry, reference, user, transaction, and material type star. That particular combination you can use. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and that will have only logistics, and this will suffice for both retail and fashion. Unlike the predecessor, which is S4HANA 2022, where we had two different views: logistics DC1 and DC2. Where logistics DC1 used to be generic in nature with requirement planning and some other basic functionalities, and logistics DC2 was exclusively for fashion, not required anymore. You can still use
Ah.
it so with a
Okay.
different screen sequence, but not required anymore.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. All right.
Now, so the course content is segregated into two different parts. One is retail, another is fashion. Okay, so
Hmm.
uh, we will cover the retail part first and then the fashion part first. So, retail and fashion, apart from the fact that one organization can exist in these two modes, there is nothing common between them. Fashion
Hmm.
has its own unique business process, retail has its own unique business processes. Okay, now a company, if it is both into fashion and fashion management and retailing, then for them both becomes necessary. Like the company that you are working for, probably, so both becomes necessary. But apart from that, there is no as such correlation between them. Now, technically, yes, the correlation exists whether you like it or not. Individually, retail and individually fashion still have to use the same MM41 transaction, same material, and same DC concept in WB01. But business process wise, there is no such convergence. Both
Hmm.
can run independently of each other.
Okay. So before we start, Rakesh, sorry, Rajesh, just a question. So when you say retail and fashion processes, right, from the let's say from the process point of view, maybe not SAP. So in retail, you mean, I mean, what I understand from the retail is we already have the goods. It could be manufactured or it could be, let's say, um, procured from, let's say, a third party vendor. It's already, let's say, there in your DC, yeah. And the process, for me, the retail process starts from there. So from the distribution center, then you send the goods to the retail store or maybe to another DC and back again. So all this process I would consider as a retail part. Anything before this, how did you procure these goods? Like, did you manufacture or did you, procure it from a third party vendor? Is, according to me, the, how do I say, let's say, manufacturing or the trading process,
Yeah, true, true.
my understanding, is that correct? Is your understanding
Yeah,
the
true,
same,
true.
or
Yeah,
yeah?
so exactly. So for retail process, it starts with the procurement. Now that procurement process would be either procurement from the DC internally, or it could be procurement. For most of the cases, it is procurement from the vendor via DC or directly to the store, DSD product. Okay.
Okay,
So
okay.
so yes, your understanding is correct. And then if it has having its own manufacturing hub, then of course the products are manufactured and then sent from the warehouse to the store for selling.
Mm. Okay. And the
Okay, and then at the back end,
material, yeah,
yeah, yeah, tell me.
the metal master also would be common, right? So what, let's say, what we manufacture, the finally the end product which is packed is what eventually goes to the store, right? So the same thing comes to the DC and then from DC to the store. So I would assume
Exactly.
the finished material, like that FERT or whatever it is, should be the same, right? That should be common
Yes, if you are manufacturing,
if we are
yes,
manufacturing. Yes.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Now, for a standalone retail, we use either HAWA, trading goods, which is sellable material, or we use MODE, which is the apparel. These are the
MOD.
two
Okay.
modes. Yeah. So, I mean, these are commonly used. Now, Hava is most common
Mm-hmm.
for retail products. And then we have a concept of material group. So, material group, as probably I was mentioning in the demo session, that it groups together products based on similar attributes. Like all your skincare, hair care products will be um, grouped under one common entity, which is known as the material group. So, material group needs to be created beforehand in transaction WG21.
Hmm. Are we going to go through those processes?
So, I am creating a material group now.
Hmm. Okay.
You have got the system access, or how is it?
I just logged in actually some time back because I was working, so I still don't see much of the details in that login. I think that is for the study material, but the server access, I don't know. I need to check.
Okay, so this is the material group. We
Hmm.
can create anything, we can put any name, that doesn't matter. It can be fashion, it can be a particular brand, anything. Now we can use the same here. And then comes material category. So in fashion, you will obviously get a very huge presence of generic material, which will basically have multiple attributes like colors and sizes.
Hmm.
However, in fashion, it's also common if in especially if the fashion, especially if the organization is into both fashion and retail, then it is also common to have single material. So single materials are nothing but stock keeping units, meaning a product that you see in a shelf is a single material, a bottle of Coke, for example. So in the percentage share of the material categories in a retail plus fashion environment will be 70% generic and 30% single. And then there
Hmm.
are some very specific categories like sell set, prepack, and display. Now, cell set and display are not common in fashion retailing. Only prepack is common, but I will cover all. So, cell set display is mostly found in the FMCG retailing in the general merchandising, and uh, prepack, what is a combination of multiple products, is very unique to the fashion retail. So, we will cover all of these starting with single material.
Okay.
Now, in retail fashion, if you are using MM41, you do have an additional advantage of creating your purchase info record to the material master itself, like the way I am doing it. I have chosen a purchase org and a vendor, and I have selected the purchasing view. So what will happen is basically when we create the purchasing view, it will automatically create a purchase info record in the background.
But
Okay.
okay, is this mandatory the supplier at this stage, or
No,
is it an
no, it is not
optional?
mandatory. It is not mandatory. It is optional. It is
Okay.
optional. If you want, you can.
Okay. Mm.
Now, sales or distribution channel will be valid for listing and sales. And then we have logistics DC and logistics store respectively, for which I am using a previously created DC and store, but we will create new set of DCs and store going forward when we take up the plant master topic. Okay, and then POS view, which is again unique to retail, will be sales or distribution chain specific. Now, out of all these, the two views, or sorry, out of all these views, the two views which are absolutely mandatory for fashion are
Mm-hmm.
basic data 2 and logistics DC. Now, logistics DC is common between retail and fashion. It is shared equally between retail and fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Basic data 2 is exclusive for fashion. If you are not using fashion, then you can deselect this. Okay.
Okay.
And then uh, logistics store and point of sale. These are and listing. Okay, listing is a compliance. So listing, I will not say that it is exclusive for retail. It is equally needed for fashion, but more from a technical point of view, not from a business point of view. But from business point of view, logistics store and POS are exclusive to retail. So meaning if a client is only using fashion, it doesn't need to select these two things.
Mm-hmm. Meaning it does not has retail, maybe only so when you say is it
Exactly.
equal to manufacturing, it's a big confusion in my head because of the terminology.
Yeah, yeah. Terminology is often confusing, but I mean,
So
if you
whenever you say fashion, you always mean a company which is manufacturing, right? Or do you mean something else?
manufacturing. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
manufacturing, and also it has certain procurement activities as well. But
Correct, correct.
manufacturing, yeah,
Meaning
yeah,
some
exactly.
an entity which produces, so then they will do all the so okay. So in Attune, they we always used to call it like manufacturing client, retail client, or both, like that. So
Mhm.
it's
Exactly.
just
Yeah,
okay,
true.
okay,
True.
okay.
So I will select all the views, and I will take a reference article with flow today. Now here we have the long description of the product, which is very important for reporting. And then the second most important entity in this whole view is the EN code. EN stands for European Article Number, and you have slash UPC. It is also known as known by the name of UPC, which means Universal Product. So what is the EN code? By any chance, are you aware about EAN code?
Yeah, this is this unique number, right? The 13 digit, the
Exactly.
the
So
bar the barcode what we scan.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it is a barcode. The barcode which is physically printed on the product itself or on the packaging of the product. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, 13 digit used to be exclusive earlier, but now I think there are other digits as well, 11, 9, 7. There are multiple other digits also in place. And if you Google about it, you will find the different variations in terms of number or in terms of number of digits for the EN code or UPC code.
Mm-hmm.
Now, from retail perspective, EN code is mandatory. Why? Because this is the code against which the product will be scanned at the front end billing system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Rajesh, can you just give me a second? A sec. I need to log out from my office Teams. Else I will keep getting so many messages. Just a sec. Yeah, sorry. We can continue.
Yeah. So it is mandatory. Where it is mandatory from system point of view, it is mandatory meaning uh, when we send the product details, when we send the product details to the store, there is a process called POS outbound where
Mm-hmm.
we are sending the product details to the store, and then if a product is not having the EN code, the outbound program will deny or filter out that product, meaning it is as good as rejecting the item. So if a product doesn't have a EN code, it will not be technically possible to send it to the front end POS system.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And this EN code would be same for each, let's say same, how do I say, same product. There are two different pieces, right? Two, let's say a quantity of two. Both will have the same EN code, right? Or they
Definitely.
each. Mm.
Yeah, definitely. So any product, irrespective of its number, will obviously have the same EN code. So if you see uh, a Coke bottle, 2 liter, so that
Uh-huh.
will have the same EN code of with any other piece that you find in the store.
Hmm.
So, okay,
Okay.
so that doesn't change uh, from one piece to another.
Mm-hmm. And for the variant, is it at the generic level, or I would assume so, or at
Come
the
to that.
variant?
No, 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 at the variant level. So your a t-shirt size 32 and black will have a different TN code than the same brand of t-shirt size 32 and color blue.
Hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now
Oh.
these EN codes will be entered or uploaded in the system. There is no standard program to do that in SAP, so you have to develop something custom. And then
Mm-hmm.
to maintain it, you need a EN category. EN category is nothing but it is a placeholder for the number range, and it supports internal EN and external EN. Although in reality, we always use the external EN for all the products which are procured externally. Now, for the in-house products, for the manufactured products, uh,
Mm-hmm.
of course, I mean, the EN code needs to be requested by the manufacturer to the governing body, and that they have to provide it in the system. So, whatever be the case, I mean, whether it is getting procured externally or it is manufacturing in-house, the EN code at the end of the day needs to be there on the product
Mm-hmm.
in order to
Yeah.
sell it. So,
Okay.
either the organization is getting it ready-made or readily available from the vendor. If it is a pure retailer, like the case of general merchandise retailer or grocery retailer, or it is applying for the EN code from the governing body if it's a manufacturer. So
Mm-hmm.
the way to receive it is different, but eventually the product has to have the EN code if it has to be sold at the retail outlet. In a purely fashion environment where there is no retailing, it is still needed from business perspective, but not required to be maintained in the product master because they do not have a pause to sell. So even though it will be mandatory from the business perspective, but it is not a mandate to have it in the material master itself.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Purely
So,
fashion environment.
mm-hmm. So basically, of course, whenever we sell it, we need to have it because, of course, the person who's selling needs to scan it at the POS system. That's
Yeah,
why we
sell
need to have for
exactly.
sale.
Mm.
And and anybody who manufactures needs to generate this number. So if whether I manufacture or somebody else, they need to have the
Yeah,
EN number
exactly.
and
Other, yeah,
provide.
because it is a legal compliance. Yeah, that is the reason.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Now, wholesale meaning SD sales order, of course, doesn't need it as a compliance. So there is no compliance in that. I mean, business process.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now,
Okay.
let us see the EN category. It is a placeholder for the number range. Now, in very specific cases of retail only, uh,
Mm-hmm.
there are instances of internal EN number being generated. Why and how? So, the retailer often have certain products which are kind of set up at their place. Let's say a particular retailer dealing in general merchandising or groceries, they will buy 200 kilos of rice from a local vendor, and then they will send that rice to a repacking center, subcontracting. So they
Mm-hmm.
will take 100 or 200 kilos of those rice, and then they will pack it into smaller denominations, meaning 20 packs or 40 packs of 5 kilo each.
Mm-hmm.
For those products, how will they get the yield? So it is the internal product. So for those, they use a internal yield generation, and then they print it as a barcode and fix it on the product. Okay,
Mm. Okay. Okay. Makes
so
sense.
that
Yeah.
that doesn't exist in fashion industry
Hmm.
as far as I know, but there might be exceptions. So any of these you can use. This EIE is very popular. So these number ranges you need to assign here, and then you can check the numbering. Generally for external, meaning the external number range that we define. What is number range? So 6. So we will define a numbering from a very small to a very big number, so that it can
Mm-hmm.
accommodate from 5 to a 19 digits, making it more future proof, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Zero 6. Uh,
Because we may
uh,
be procuring as a retailer, we may procure from multiple manufacturers, right? Like from multiple vendors, and they may have a very different range of EN, right?
exactly.
Okay.
So now let me enter a EN code. Incorrect check digit. There is some check rule. I'm not
Mm.
very much sure what it does. There is a check rule basically. So it checks whether it is acceptable EN code basically. So that
Okay.
checking rule is there in the EN code. So it
Mhm.
has to be as per the legal norms. So I am not very much sure about the current nomenclature of the EN code, but
Mhm. Yeah, I kind of remember from one of the project. It does some
uh,
calculation to create this
exactly.
last
Yeah. Yeah,
check.
so the last digit, earlier it used to be simple, but the first two digits will be your country, then state, something like that. It used to be.
Uh-huh.
Now it is quite complex, and all those complexity and checking has been built in this algorithm.
Okay.
This is what it is checking. Now, fine, let me not enter any external numbering because I don't know the current syntax or protocol for EN numbering. I can simply use the internal one.
Mhm.
I can simply use the internal one.
And these
Like,
number ranges we have to purchase, right? Rajesh, from.
no. So you need to know, Google it and see what is the number range for the different ENs across different countries or the country where the retailer is residing. Okay. Then you define a realistic number range based on the external number range based on that. Okay. Currently the one which is used, which is from 2 followed by 10 or 15 zeros, 10 or 12 zeros, definitely is not valid for Germany. because currently we are working with the default settings with Germany as a country. D.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, so that's the way to do it. Currently, it is a setting which is probably not as per the syntax, and that is why we are getting this issue. But
Mm-hmm.
when you will be going for a client, you will have to look into it that what is the acceptable EN range for that particular country, and then you have to set the number range for that external numbering.
Hmm. Okay, I think it's a big topic in itself. It's
Mm.
yeah. Okay.
Okay. Just again. Fine. Now, this is exclusively for fashion, so we will have to revisit this multiple number of times. So the four elements of fashion, couple of four elements of fashion, which is segmentation and season management, needs to be assigned here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so both are big topics. So I am just mentioning it.
Mm. Okay.
Listing. Listing is not needed in fashion from business point of view, but it has to go through the technical compliance. Retail uh, is ideally suited for the listing business process. Now, what is listing? So, listing is basically deciding on the eligibility of a particular store to procure and sell a product. Example, let's just talk about a electronic store. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, iPhone 16 series, the latest one, I don't know. I'm aware about 16, 17. I don't know if it has come out or not, but whatever it is still a expensive item, very expensive item. Now, the retailer doesn't want to procure and sell that product for every store. Only selected stores which are located in a good geographical location where the customer footfall is more, they will procure it and sell it. Rest are not allowed to do that. So out of 100 stores, only I'll say let's say three stores are allowed to sell it and I mean procure and sell it. So how do you ensure it? How do you control it from the system point of view?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the way to control it from the system point of view is listing. So if you want to if you want to procure a product only for a particular store, list it to that store and don't list it to the rest 99. So automatically system will take care of it. Meaning, let's say I have created this article and I have not listed it, then you will not be able to create a purchase order. You will get an error saying that material is not listed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then equally in retail process, functional process, there is a restriction in the sales side. So if we try to send the material to the point of sale system through the POS outbound process, and if it is not listed, it will be denied. So both your procurement and sales will be blocked if a product is not listed.
And this listing only, I mean, when we list it, there is only one process which affects both procurement and sales, or we have two listing for purchase and
Sales,
sales.
yeah, sales meaning only retail sales. Wholesale, there is a provision of listing, but that would be through a body, so not in standard. So I would say listing is overall procurement for retail and fashion, and then only sales for retail. That is the scope of listing in standard SAP. Although through development, I mean, there is a placeholder for development. You can also restrict listing in sales order as well, or implement the listing check in sales order as
Mhm. Yeah, but when we list, let's say here we have this execute listing, right? So when we list it for, let's say, a particular store, I mean, when we talk about just the retail part, and we list it there, it will allow both procurement and sales, right? So it is always together. Like either we list it or we do not list. So
well.
if we
Exactly,
list,
exactly.
okay. So it's not that a separate listing for just procurement and
No, no,
separate
no, no, no,
listing.
no.
No.
It's
Ah,
either or both. I mean, neither or both.
okay, okay. All right. And on the DC, like the distribution center, you're saying that it will okay because there is an identification in the system to differentiate whether it's a DC or a store. Depending on that,
No,
sys
yeah,
or mm, okay. So for DCs, the listing is not needed. You are saying we can do it.
it is needed because if your DC is procuring from external vendor or
Mhm.
it is creating stock STO, so for that process you need listing for the DCs. This is not doing any store sell, meaning the post sell. Yes, fine. So for that, uh, we do not need to list. But anyway, DC will still be procuring products. So for that, listing becomes important for DC as well. So in short, we need to get a product listed to both DC and store. Only for
Uh-huh.
procurement and DC, and then both for procurement and retail sales in store.
Okay, okay. So, Rajesh, a scenario like my company, right, where we do have the retail stores and we manufacture, we send it to the DCs, then from DC to store, right? So in
Mm.
this case, we will list it in the DC and the retail store, but for the
Yes.
manufacturing plant, we don't. It's a usual normal process, no listing, nothing needed, right?
No, the question I have is you have DCs which do not have manufacturing unit, or do you have DC separate and manufacturing unit separate?
We have separate. So what we do
Okay.
is, let's say we
And
manufacture in
uh,
Asia, mostly
uh,
Asia, and then send it to all these two, three
how do
big.
you send STO?
Actually, here it's a very old process. They are not. STO is not used. Ideally, it should be an STO, or yeah, ideally it should be an STO. But we are doing a POSO model basically at the moment, purchase and
Okay,
sales.
POS. No, if your manufacturing entity is engaged into any kind of PO, any kind of activity with respect to PO or STO, still the product needs to be listed there.
Yeah, but it will do one of those, right? Always, either it is going to we are going to purchase. If it's a raw material, we purchase, right? If it's a finished, we
Uh,
sell. If it's a,
mm.
let's say, a manufacturing entity, or let's say in
Yeah,
like
it depends on the product. So if it is a raw material, then the manufacturing hub will procure it. So then you need to list that raw material to the DC. But if it is a finished product, then unless and until you have a SKU scenario, then you do
Mhm.
not need to list it.
So you mean if it's an STO, then listing is not needed, but if it is a
No, 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 no.
sales,
It is
like
needed. It is needed.
for
Let's say your
STO.
yes, if it is a manufacturing unit,
Mhm.
then let's say it is not it is procuring the raw materials. So raw materials needs to be listed, and then the finished goods it is not getting procured, but let's say it is sent uh, to a different physical location via SQ. Then also it is needed to be listed.
Mhm.
But let's
Okay.
say from the manufacturing unit only wholesale is happening, then it is not required to be listed, meaning sales order.
Okay. Hmm. So if there is a sales order like this VA01, meaning if we create a sales order as such, you are saying listing it in that case listing is not needed.
Exactly so.
Okay, but that is sales only, right? That's how we consider say, but not you mean sales
Retail
and
sale, only
oh,
retail sale.
retail sale. Okay, okay, understood. All right.
Okay, so there are different ways of listing. One of the way of listing is to get it listed from the listing view, but no one uses listing in that manner. We have mass programs for listing, which we will see later. But we can carry out the listing from here. Let's say we want to list it to this particular store. Sorry. Uh, Deselect everything. Then I want to list in only this store. The moment I save it, it will basically create listing conditions, meaning it will update a particular table. That is why I do not want to use this. This
Mhm.
has a problem. Let me redo this. Thing we do not do it from here, but if you want, you can do in the manner. But here we have a different issue. But let us not wait for it. So here, as I said, we can maintain the cost price, meaning in the background it will create a purchasing record.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And planned delivery time also you can maintain, but it is optional. You might create the material without any purchasing view, and if it is procured externally, then you can use the conventional way of using ME11 to create the PIR.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Sales view, apart from the regular item category group and all, which is needed for SD. So I hope you know that the item category group, and
Mm-hmm.
then the account assignment group, which is again something which you use in the VKOA. Uh, I mean, revenue account determination. The rest is all about retail pricing. The subscreen that you see sales price, it is a unique process in retail called retail pricing. However, retail pricing is something which we can carry out in a different transaction, just like we can carry out listing in a different transaction. So this is retail pricing. Now we can also carry out here. So retail pricing is a markup based sales price. So if your cost price is 100 and then if you have a markup of 20%, then the sales price will be calculated as 120.
Mm-hmm.
See, it changes to 120 immediately. The moment I enter 20 and this is calculated as 120, and if this checkbox is enabled, then it creates a condition record of type GKP0 in the background.
Okay.
That we will cover during the retail pricing. Now, the look and feel of it is much better here because this is what the mass program does for the retail price calculation. We do it from here if at all we are doing the retail price.
What is this T code for the retail price?
Yeah, VKP5.
VKP5. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Now you can also have the same look and feel from here if you click on this sales price calculation.
Mm-hmm.
Just wait for the screen to appear.
And this is something which can keep changing, right? Or
Yes,
I would.
yes, yes. Exactly. So I can come back next time and then I can replace the markup by from 20 to 30 and make the sale price as 130. I can do that.
Okay.
A big topic. I mean, just trying to give you an overview.
Okay.
Okay. Logistics DC. We have multiple controls. We have controls relevant for requirement planning, allocation run, then
Oh, everything
segmentation
they have
again.
clubbed here.
Yeah, exactly. Everything is clubbed. Now logistics DC2, whatever used to be exclusive for fashion is now clubbed here. And then there are a lot of, buttons through which you can navigate to the relevant sub.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
A lot of production planning relevant views has been compressed under these buttons.
Okay.
Logistics store again has quite a number of impact points in terms of downstream functional process. Number one, replenishment planning. Number two, allocation table, which is different from the allocation run, totally different. Only the name allocation is common, but absolutely different from allocation run. Then promotion and pricing also, it has got certain impact points.
Mm-hmm.
So this will be obviously coming back later as and when we progress along the course content.
Okay.
POS. POS is point of sale, and here POS is only for the POS outbound process, meaning when we are sending the data from SAP retail system to the third party system, which is installed at the billing machine. That is known as the POS system. Generic name is POS system.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, right now, the only important field here is the short text, meaning the short description of the product, the abbreviation. Now, this is the name which will be printed on the paper receipt or the e-receipt when the
Okay.
customer posts the customer billing.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, in the IDOC or in the XML, we will see that there is a configuration through which we can enable the transfer of the short text from SAP retail system to the POS system. It is, there is a configuration to control that. So it is
Okay.
very, very important to have this field here. Now, 100% of the time we will be sending this field to the POS. I have never seen any client not wanting to send it to the
Mhm.
POS.
Okay.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
Now, let us save this. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
now our material is created and we did carry out the retail pricing, meaning on top of the cost price of 100, what was our material number? We maintained a markup 20% and the final sales price was calculated as 120. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so now let us see if the same has been updated or not in the condition record. I said BKP0, this is the ruling sale price condition for retail. This is what gets sent to the POS in retail sale.
Okay. But where did that 100 come from? I saw it was not even editable in the Metal Master. Did we copy
Ah,
it? To
no,
where?
no, that no, yeah, it got copied from here initially, but it was not the exact value. It copied the reference value of 94.94, something like that, and then I overwritten that as 100. So this field was editable in the MM41 mode.
But this is a purchasing, but in sales?
The same value will be, see what is retail pricing. You are apply a markup on the cost price. So the same value of 100 goes there.
Ah, okay, okay, understood.
Okay, here. So by default, it will be 100, meaning it is assuming that 0% markup. The moment I overwrite it,
Mm.
okay, the vendor is, see, this is the vendor and this is the cost price. This is where it is getting the 100. And then if I now save again, it will overwrite 120 with 130. Although this is not the correct way to do it, we do it from the VKP5 as I said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So now we will see 130.
A question here, Rajesh. So let's say I have procured the same product from three different vendors. Yeah. I mean, in this case, let's say I don't know, maybe shampoo or something. Yeah, I'm procuring from three vendors.
Mm.
Maybe it's possible that they give me at a different price, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So
Mm.
now when I calculate my sale price of the product, I will have
Mm.
three different prices, three
Mm.
different sale prices for the same product. But when I
No,
actually
no,
sell, yeah, so that's
no.
what I wanted to
So,
ask. How does it work then?
so that we will cover in retail pricing. So
Okay.
there are two ways to do that. One is known as mixed price. Another one is known as another one is a standard price because if there are multiple cost prices from multiple vendors, by default system will pick up the one with the least cost price by default. Okay. Now, if you want a different flavor to it, that is also possible, and there is a specific way of treating this case under a subtopic in retail pricing called vendor mixed price.
Mm,
Okay, so we'll see that during the retail pricing. You can keep a note of your question. We will revisit it. But to answer your question right now, this is my answer.
mm, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. So, see, today I will have to stop here. Today is a bit difficult for me at this time, but I still manage some time just to give you an overview. So,
Mm-hmm.
we will continue from Monday, same time. Okay.
Uh, okay.
Same time means 9 p.m., not say this time. This time I'm not available in any day. So, the slot that I
Mm-hmm.
have is 9 p.m. IST. So, I already told Naveen. So, I hope it is fine with you.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, today I asked for an earlier one so that for your this thing, so that you can be free earlier.
No, no,
Otherwise,
I do not have a problem. So,
yeah. Oh,
so,
okay,
so
okay.
from Monday,
All
we
right.
will do it at 9 p.m. Okay.
Rajesh, just one request only for this particular Monday. Can we start from Tuesday? Monday, actually, I have a go live for the EDI
Oh,
topic,
well,
and
then
I don't know.
Tuesday is fine. Then we'll start from Tuesday. No
From we
problem.
will
9
start
p.m.
from Tuesday, and then
Yeah,
we will not.
9 p.m. IST. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect
Yeah.
then.
Okay then.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.